Ebony from Sturdi Studios.
Yeah.
This is ArtC FartC Collab and Create episode number 4. It's where two artists collab. They come together, they talk, they do a project together, and then they produce some great content for you to listen to. Any artist out there who is striving to establish themselves, or you're established already and you want to professional content to put out there, that's what Sturdi Studios is all about. Last week we had King Eze. We talked about foreign exchange, sacrifices, being in the right environment, exposing yourselves, everything like that. Just go check that out. Today we got Najah.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Everybody calls her Naj, N-A-J.
That's me.
Yes. So why did you agree to coming on this podcast? Like, you had to believe in yourself or something? Because Sturdi Studios is
like, it's
top
lit.
notch.
It's
you know
lit.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
I mean, I didn't have nothing else to do. It's like, no, but seriously, I've known Ebony for, a couple of years and stuff now, and I just love her energy. Like, she's always incredibly creative. Just her heart, her spirit, her vibe is it's like none other. And so, I mean, how could I, decline an offer like this to be a part of something amazing that she's doing, and that's bringing people together for the purposes of making sure that we do something greater and make a greater impact. So, I'm just glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, sis.
Hey, it's lit. So unlike the majority of my guests who are supposed to be entrepreneurs, I did mention that I bring some influencers in, and I really feel like Naj is an influencer because when you look at her social media or when you hang out with her, she does influence you to change your ways in a positive way by social media, with like giving out quotes and Bible verses and just positive energy, reposting like positive posts and just straight encouraging. And I want to know two things. I want to know why you want to encourage so many people. What's your target? So I guess it's 3 things. So why you want to encourage these people, what's your target, and then what do you back yourself up with? How can you even do this every day, and how can you motivate so well? What's going on in your life that allows you to do this?
That's a loaded question. So let's do one question at a time. But seriously, when it comes to what motivates me, it really is just this sense of legacy. And it's interesting because my pastor was talking about this on Sunday, is that he's at a place in his life where he just wants to lay a legacy. And for me, that's the same place that I'm at, is that, every day should be lived with intention. And if we don't live every day with intention, then it's just really honestly a day wasted. And so I try to seek to do that on a daily basis in all that I do, whether it's work, whether it's serving in ministry, whether it's just being outside, just hanging out with people, being in different environments, just making sure that I do something that's going to make an impact. And it could be as simple as holding the door for somebody, or saying thank you, or smiling, or just saying, have a great day, that I'm living a life of intention. And so that's what motivates me, is that when you see people's disposition change, like you in line for a long time, everybody's upset and mad, man, this line taking too long, oh, this person's slow, and you have all this negativity. And I'm like, that's not going to help you move in the line faster. So for me, when I get to that person, I'm like, you're doing a great job. I like your hair, or, keep smiling and stuff like that. Don't let, negative energy impact you. You're doing a great job. And so when you can change somebody's disposition, where they're once like this and they're hunched over, and then they start to smile, or you see a sparkle in their eye, it gives me just this joy and stuff, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help other people and impact other people. So if all you're doing is making more problems for people, then you're really not living your life on purpose. So I just that's my energy, that energy that you get from people, to know that there's something that you have said that has made them smile or made them feel better, because you really don't know what people are going through. And so it's really, really important that we take time to just live life with intention. So that's what motivates me. That's what pushes me daily.
Lit. And she said that's what we're here for, just to clear it up. That's what we're here on earth for.
Right.
Like, people don't even realize, like, we have these goals that we want to do before we die. Like, death is real, okay?
Right. Very real.
But we dove more into this, into the interview that's on IGTV. It's on Sturdi Studios. Just look that up on Instagram, and you can check that out. But tell me, like, how you're able to do this every day. Where do you look for your motivation? Where do you go to?
So, first and foremost, my motivation, everybody say, oh, my motivation God. But seriously, on God, my motivation is God every single day. My faith is literally like the foundation and the bedrock for everything. It is, it is why I make the decisions that I make. It's why I do the things that I do. Because if you understand that you're created for a greater purpose, if you understand that there's something out there, there's something that you're supposed to be doing to impact other people, then because you're living your life, with intention and stuff, it's just gonna make a difference. And so for me, it's really just about making sure that that with my faith, I live life with intention. And so, whether that's through reading scripture, whether that's through praise and worship music, whether that's through inspirational messages, outside of, the teachings and the things that I get from my church, I make sure that outside of church, outside of Sunday, I'm fueling my spirit with positive things. I'm fueling my spirit with, not just the spiritual, but also practical things, because that's what you need with so much negativity in the world. And you look at I'm such a fan of CNN, but you watch CNN, you watch the news, and it's depressing. So-and-so gets shot. So-and-so committed suicide. And it will bring you down because you're like, wow, like just how quickly an innocent life can be lost. How quickly, even just with a few days ago, the shooting that happened in Annapolis, and just how people woke up that morning with the intention of going to work and with the intention of coming home. And just to think that somebody's family member didn't come home. And so it's really important that we don't just live haphazardly like every single day and every moment is promised. It's not. So you really do have to take time to really think about what's important to you. And because my faith is important to me, I have to make sure that I'm living my life with intention. I recognize that I'm a vessel, I'm a body, and that in order to reach people, in order to connect with people, I use my this physical body to reach out to people. It's a hug, it's love, it's encouragement, it's support. And so that's what fuels me, like faith fuels me, like knowing that if Jesus Christ can die on the cross for my sins, then, and he died for me, then daily I die to myself. So that way I can live a greater life. So there's a lot of things I don't want to do. Like sometimes you don't want to do certain things, but you recognize that somebody else's life will be better if I make that sacrifice. And that sacrifice isn't always clear at the time, because sometimes it can feel like an inconvenience. But for a momentary inconvenience, somebody's life is impacted better. Mm-hmm. So I recognize that if Christ can do that for me, I can certainly do that for somebody else. And so you have to get outside of yourself. And once you understand that life is better when you're serving other people and you're helping other people and you're supporting other people, it makes a world of a difference. Like your life, your trajectory of your life will be significantly different when you live your life with purpose and you serve other people. So
facts.
That's what we do, every day. That's what I try to do every day.
It's very powerful what you're saying, and sacrificing and knowing that it's not for self. And once you really, I wrote about that on one of my Instagram captions. I said, once we realize that it's not about self, mm-hmm. That's when we'll start to live a true free life. And that goes to, and she also mentioned that she doesn't necessarily want to do all these things, all these assignments that she feels called to do. But when you know that someone's life is going to change or that it's going to be better in the end, that's when you get that motivation, or that's when you get that, okay, let me do this, let me sacrifice this, let me not be comfortable here. So tell me about like comfort levels and how they'll alter in situations like this when we start moving forward.
Right.
And leveling up.
Right. I mean, when it comes to our comfort level, I mean, that's just who we are. Like, we do the same thing every day. You know, we got to go to work. We got to, take care of kids. We have to take care of our, take care of spouses. There's certain things that just as human beings and as people that have families and stuff like that, we just do certain things every day. So it's like a monotony. It's mundane. It's the same thing every day. And so what your comfort level, in order for you to really experience life, you have to move past your comfort level. And so I was talking to Eb, like, I'm a person, I'm like a behind the scenes person, you know what I mean? I'm not the person that's going to be in front of the camera or, doing a bunch of videos and all that kind of stuff. That's not necessarily my comfort level. But I recognize that in order for me to be able to accomplish certain things, that it's going to require me to get out of my comfort level and be stretched. And so if you think about a rubber band, like, you mess with a rubber band, it has a certain kind of resistance, But when you start to pull the rubber band and you start to stretch it, the rubber band will never go back to the capacity that it was before because of how it's been stretched. And so that's how it is with our lives, is that there's certain things that God calls us to do, and we're going to be stretched, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and you're not going to have all the answers, and nothing makes sense, and you're literally leaping out on faith. And at that point, it's like, you either going to stay or you're going to either allow yourself to be stretched. But once you stretch, remember, it never goes back to the same capacity it was. So that's what it is with these different assignments that, God gives us, or these different things. Like, God may say, go speak to that person. Or you may just feel like, I need to go speak to that person, or I need to call somebody, or whatever the case may be. It's not about you. It really is to stretch you beyond your fear, beyond, what could go wrong, and just do it. You know what I mean? Like what I'm doing today, I literally at a Nike moment, like, just do it. I wanted to be like, nah, Eb, I can't do it, But I was like, something was like, nah, you gotta do this. You gotta do this. And so I'm glad that I did it, because now my mind is open to a whole nother, dynamic of what's possible for me, because I was willing to step out. Step out of my fear and out of my comfort zone. So whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish in life, you have to move past the fear. And it doesn't mean you take a leap. It might just mean take a step. It might mean just make a call. It might just mean, asking a question. But the moment you do it, you'll never go back to the place you were at, because your capacity has been stretched. So I just encourage everybody out there, whatever it is that you want to do, take a step. It doesn't have to be a big leap, but just take a step, make a call, research some information, but do something, because the more you go for what it is that you desire to do, you start to remove a little bit more of the fear. So, get out your comfort zone. I mean, it's lit on the other side, like, for real.
Straight facts that she's spitting, It's just, when you're in that comfort zone, she said, like, asking a question, like something as small as that. Like, I'm thinking, I just went to a convention last week. Go check my vlog series out. I showed about that. But just asking a question there, just imagine if you had a question that you felt like was stupid. Like, like that's the average thing when questions come. You're nervous to, if it's might be looked down upon, but it might be the answer that allows you to skyrocket as soon as you leave that convention. So it's just like, and then when Naj said the rubber band, once you're stretched, you won't go back. So that once you're not back, and you're a little bit bigger, that allows more negativity to come, because you're bigger and more things can access you because you got bigger, because you leveled up. More people know you. you're connected to more things. So that's when more negativity comes. And so you have to prepare yourself. You're like armor. And just continue to surround yourself around the right people. Talk to me about your surroundings and what you expose yourself to, and then also end it off with like how it allows you to push away that negativity that opens up when you level up.
When it comes to leveling up and being in a position, a posture where more people know you, or you get exposed to more things or have new opportunities, it's going to be negativity that comes, and you have to push past the negativity. I mean, if every time negativity came, you shrunk back, then people lose the value of you. And so you have to make sure, you have to honestly make a decision to say, I'm going to press no matter what. Negativity is going to be there. And half of the people that's talking trash and making comments and being hateful or evil, they don't have anything going for them anyway. And the reality of it is that if you focus on what you are supposed to be doing, like eventually that stuff won't even matter. And I think that's the key, is that you have to be willing to push past it, but you have to be decided that you're going to push past it, because as you go through different levels, if you will, we're talking about leveling up, as you go through different levels, it's going to be more and more challenging. So if you think that it's going to stop being challenging, it's not, so you have to make a decision that no matter what, I'm going to continue to press forward, because there's a value in you that other people need. There's something that you have that other people need. And so if you keep that in mind, that I got to get to those people are my assignment, then that stuff, you like, okay, eventually it's going to roll off your back. Like if I stopped every time somebody said something negative about me, I would have stopped a long time ago. I would have just been stuck. And so I just made it, my decision to say, I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm going to do the assignment. And regardless of what people have to say, and, just live my life, because ultimately, the Bible says if God be for us, who can be against us? So at the end of the day, I know I got God on my side, and God ain't never failed me. In some of the toughest times in my life, He has never failed me. So if He hasn't failed me before, He not gonna fail me again. So I don't even spend too much time focused on haters. I think we give too much attention to that person as a hater. That haters. I've heard this said. People say haters are secret admirers. So if you keep your mind focused on the fact that they're secretly admiring what you're doing, with hopes of wishing that they had the knowledge and the wisdom and the grit to go after what it is that you're doing, then they wouldn't have anything to say. So people who actually are doing something don't really have time to sit around making comments and being hateful and evil. Like, people are actually doing something. So when it comes to your environment, you got to check your environment. Like at church they say check your row. So you got to do a row check. You got to do a pew check. But no, you need to do a check around your surroundings, the folks that you're around, because even some of the people that you think are for you, they're snakes in the grass, you know what I mean? And so the people that come across like, yo, I'm for you, I'm proud of you. At some of the most monumental times in my life where I saw God elevating me, I would tell people, and then their response was like, I was like, really? Yeah. Like, that's that, and maybe because my expectation, in the past was like, okay, well, these people are for me. They're going to be excited for me. They down for me. They love me. They care about me. But then the response was like totally contrary to that. And it was like, at first, you like, your heart kind of sinks like, wow, I thought this person was for me. But then I got to the point like, wow, that could be God showing me the snake in the grass, because some of the people that really look like they for you, when you start leveling up, you're going to see a shift. And so you have to expect that it's going to be a shift. There's going to be a shaking. And so some of the people that was for you at level 1, they can't even make it to level 2. Right. You know what I mean? So Like if you think about a space shuttle, you know, when a space shuttle goes up, stuff falls off. So when you're ready to launch out, you know, just be prepared for it. Be prepared, you know, just be prepared for the shifting and the shaking. And so don't be discouraged by it. Know that it's a reason for it, and that there's new people that are going to be assigned to your next level. So because those new people are going to be assigned to your next level, they're going to already kind of be hip. You won't have, they'll flow with you, you know what I mean? And I think, you know, we talked about it, like, either they're going to grow with you or they're going to go. Mm-hmm. And you know what I'm saying? Like, when it's time to go, I don't got time to be babysitting you, trying to fill you in on everything. Like, you just got to move, you know what I mean? If something happening bad out, you know, if there's a disaster or something happening, you can't be asking all these questions. Yo, we got to go. We got to go. You know, I explained to you on the ride, fam, but we got to go. So just be encouraged that even if the shifting and the shaking happens, even if the people that you thought were assigned to you leave your life, know that at your next level that there are people assigned to help you fulfill purpose.
Facts, straight facts. I think this is like the stopping point for most people. Mm-hmm. Like you see them going down the road, and we're gonna talk about the other thing that I think stops people from reaching their true freedom place. But we're working back here. If you're on video, I'm putting together a little physical picture. So right here is purpose, finding purpose, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But right here is for the ones who already know they have something in them. When they see that the hate is coming and the people are leaving and it gets lonely, and now they know what they have to do, they just don't do it, you know. So I think this is the place that stops us the most. What can we do when we feel that lonesome feeling, like when our phone's not buzzing like it used to, or you know, somebody says you're changing now and why you can't come out to XYZ, you know, like what do I do?
The thing is that it comes, like I said, it comes with the territory. But the key is that you have to, and I know I'm shooting at the Bible a lot, and you know there may be people listening here who may not be believers and stuff, so you may not get everything that I'm saying. But even if you don't understand what I'm saying, I just want you to catch the principle. In the Bible there was a guy named David, and so there was times where David was going through difficulties, and David encouraged himself. And that's the thing, is that you can't look to people outside to be the encourager. Because oftentimes, especially when you're talking about like business and entrepreneurship or even a new venture, sometimes we expect the people, like our family and friends, to be the ones to be the encourager, and it may not be them. And so sometimes you have to be in that space of loneliness. It's like you have to think about it as an incubation period. Like you're in this incubation period and you have to be there by yourself. If you think of anything where people, like think about babies, and you know, babies that may be in the ICU, they have to be incubated because they have to get back healthy again. And when you're starting something new, you know, when you're used to certain, you know, people and certain environments and stuff like that, when you're starting something new, you got to go through an incubation period. And so it's going to be lonely. You're going to cry. You might cry yourself to sleep. You're going to be angry. You might be bitter. You might be resentful, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if you just remember, I'm just being incubated. I'm being hidden for a reason, because there's some stuff that's on me. I might got to detox. You might have to do a mental detox. You might have to do a physical detox. But the purpose of you being in that incubation period is to get healthy and get stronger, so that when you come out of it, you'll be ready for what's next. And so, because if you took the hits before the incubation period, you probably would have fell apart. But because you've been in incubation period, you've had a season of loneliness, you've had a season of, you know, just dispelling, you know, negativity and people and all that kind of stuff, you know, you're going to be stronger. So when the hits come, you like, I've been through that. I'm good. You know, you just scrub your shoulders, be like, I'm chilling, you know, I'm good. So that's the key, is just to encourage yourself and to know that it's just a season. Like, it's going to pass, but you gotta do it. It's part of the process. I think we focus a lot on, well, this is where I want to be. I gotta get to B. I gotta get to B. But you gotta, there's a gap there, you know, between A and B, and so you just gotta walk through it. It's going to be tough. I'm telling you, it's not going to be easy. You're going to cry. You might fall on the floor. You might want to throw stuff. You're going to be angry. But if you just focus and just know it's just for a season, you're going to be able to get through it. So you have to encourage yourself. I mean, what you say to yourself is very, very important. So when you're going through stuff, you can't be like, I ain't going to make it. Man, this is hard. I should have gave, you know, and you feel like giving up, but you got to stick to it. You have to just know it's just for a season. And in that time, just fuel yourself with the right stuff. Be careful what you say to yourself, because if you're saying, I'm not going to be able to do it, then that's exactly what it's going to be. But if you say, you know what, this is tough, be real, be transparent, be honest about what you're going through. This is tough. I hate it. Like, I want this to pass. Like, why I gotta be like this? Why can't it be better than that? You're gonna have those moments, but just know, like, it's not the ideal situation that I would like it to be, but it's purposeful, and so it's gonna take me where I'm supposed to go, and it's really just building me up for what's next. So you talk about leveling up, you know what I mean? Just, you know, allow yourself to be processed, because as you go to the next level, it's a different level of exposure. It's a different protocol. It's a different order of life. And so when you recognize that, you can't take old habits and take them to a new place. You know what I mean? And so if you recognize that the incubation period is just a season of preparation while you detox and clean up yourself a little bit and get stronger and healthier, then by the time you come out on the other side, you're going to be like, yo, I'm so glad I went through that.
That's like so true though, because you have to have the experience to be able to share with people and to motivate people how to overcome certain situations or obstacles that may come in their way. I mean, you definitely can give them, like, Naj is coming from the Bible, and then you can come from like books, and you can come from like movies that you've seen when you come to motivate people. But if you actually gone through a situation, you can connect more to someone who's gone through the same situation. So when you go through these what you think might be terrible or crazy situations, side note, other people are going through worse. But when you go through these crazy situations, just know that it'll be for good. You'll be able to use it for good later. With like a process or like any business or project you have going on, it's like in the beginning you're building, right? Just like a hill going up a hill. But when you've got it all together, you're ready to slide down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like work to have fun later. That's why a lot of people are going into entrepreneurship. They can build, and then they can live long. Their families can be rich. Like in Beyonce and Jay-Z's new album, she said, my great grandchildren are already rich. like they're doing what they need to do so that their families can be supported, and they can be supported. They can go to vacation 1 week and not have to tell anybody about it, or they can go to their daughter's spelling bee on Wednesday morning at 11 and, you know, not have to, I mean, everyone has their own schedule, right? But I'm saying if you had like a 9 to 5, you'd have to talk to your boss about it, right? So I think a lot of people are aware of this, and like I said, that's like a stopper. But what could even stop someone more is that they don't even know what their purpose or passion is. Some people go around life every day, and not only do they live like their tomorrow is promised, but they live and think they don't even have a purpose, or like, I don't even know. Like, I get that you don't know the purpose, but you cannot live and continue to live like this and not even know you have one. So I'm gonna come over to Naj, and I'm gonna let her talk to us about like how we can find our purpose, and how great and awesome is it to feel, or how great it is like the feeling, the actual feeling that we feel when we have discovered it and when we're ready to pour into other lives, and that when we start knowing that we can change lives.
Absolutely. Purpose, and I've heard this stated a couple of times, purpose is connected to, and my pastor says that purpose is connected to either your passion or your burden. And so when you want to identify, well, what is my purpose in life? Well, what am I here for? Start looking at those areas. What is it that you have a passion for? Whether it could be working with senior citizens. It could be, it could be cooking. It could be working with teenagers, working with people who have disabilities. Whatever that thing is that you have a passion for, that thing you would do for free. Mm-hmm. Start to look at those areas. And sometimes we're looking for this big, huge aha moment, and it may not be that. If you just really think about your life and spend some time in self-reflection, you'll be able to see almost like these different pieces that ultimately create the puzzle, which is purpose. So it doesn't mean that it's one thing. It could be multiple things, and depending on what season you are in life, your purpose may shift or whatever the case may be. But you could have multiple purposes. We have multiple assignments, just like we have multiple levels when we're talking about leveling up. Then nothing necessarily is this or that. It could be multiple things. So start to look at those areas. What are those things that you are passionate about? Those things that you would do for free, and start there. It could be a list of 4 or 5. It might be bigger than that. Now you just want to make the list. At least start there. Make a list. And then even when it comes to what do you have a burden for? You have a burden for women who go through domestic violence situations. You may have a burden for children being hungry. You may have a burden for persons that are veterans, who went through significant hardship, So just start there. And if you're able to make a list, start there. And then talk to other people. Because, see, one of the indications of passion is where you light up at. Mm-hmm. And so we talk about it's lit. But seriously, what is that thing that lights you up? That thing that people just see your energy go to another level. Like you're smiling, you're excited, you have fun doing it. Ask other people. Ask people that you trust, that you're going to get an honest answer from. Like, yeah, I noticed that when you do this, that you seem to be really excited. And once you start reflecting on yourself and then even engaging other people in the process, that'll give you at least a sense of something as to, okay, this might be maybe something that I could look a little bit more into. And so it's not just about making a list, but talking to people and really being honest with yourself. Not just, because sometimes we think that we have a passion for stuff, and it's like, no, that's not it. What is that thing that you would do for free? That thing that you would do every day, all day. You don't have to be coerced to do it. You don't have to be asked to do it. You'll do it with your eyes closed. Like, it's that thing that's like, I love this. And again, talk to other people about it. And that should help you look at your passion and your burden, make a list, talk to people, reflect on it, and start there. And that should at least give you a little something to start with. Mm-hmm. If you don't have any place to start with, at least start there.
Right. I was reading a book, 6 Months to 6 Figures with Peter Ball. Mm-hmm. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he had a section in there where he literally stopped the book. And I mean, he stopped in a number of places, but that part where he stopped, he had a paragraph that you could send out to your family and friends, but also send out to close relatives who don't feel it that they need to make you happy, so they can be honest with you. And so you basically ask him what do you think I'm good at, and so that does tie into what she was saying. This is the stuff that we really need to do, and don't just think about it. And when she says make a list, she's not talking about mentally, do it physically, really see it. You can write it down, type it, whatever you feel is best for you, but you gotta see this stuff. Mental is a joke, really, because it doesn't matter how good your memory is. It's it's like a vision board. Like you have to see it. Once you see it, you can believe it. You need that space in your mind. I mean, I'm no like scientist, but I feel like you need that space in your mind for like the thought, like what you're gonna do to change lives and stuff like that. You need that space for that. Go ahead and write out, you know, your today list, or you know what Naj was talking about how you need to define your purpose and the things that you like to do. Something that you do on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. You know what I'm saying? So that's how you find your purpose. A lot of people I know, because I work with them. I've had many jobs, many 9-to-5 jobs. I've only had jobs that are considered 9-to-5 jobs. So I've had coworkers who know that are like, I identify a skill that they have. When I talk about it, they get happy. Like, we're no longer talking about burgers and lotions or wherever we work at, right? And then, you know, you see a different smile that they didn't have when they were at the cash register ringing out that customer, right? So you know it's a passion. So I'm sitting there talking to them. They might not necessarily know it's a passion, but I mean, I'm talking to them, so I know it's their passion, the way they're smiling. They're good at it, but they're here. And when they leave, they might be talking about what happened at work because they're so unhappy, or they might have a child and they tend to them, or, you know, something that's not of their passion after work. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just, it really bugs me, and it really, that's one of the reasons that I'm making this podcast. But we can't ignore these things that make us happy. And it's like, what we've been saying, like I think once everyone realizes that we legit don't have tomorrow promised, like,
we'll stop wasting time.
Right. It's just like, let's get another question on board, because I don't want to stay here, but it's just like really, like, that's what did it for me, I think. Like, you like family member after family member, or friend after friend, they start leaving, and it's like, they had all these goals. And in my vlog that I told you guys to check out, I talked about how my godmother just passed, and I'm walking around her house and I'm seeing the same things. Like, she didn't get to take that, and she didn't get to take that, and oh, that money that she saved is right here, you know? So it's like, I'm not saying don't save money, but it's just like, we gotta start working, getting into the motion, so that we can be free, so that we can be happy while we live. And so self-awareness is everything, you know what I'm saying? How can we build ourselves, Naj? Where can we go, like, to find resources and get connected to these positive influences that you were mentioning? What do you do to stay afloat?
I put myself in environments where I'm learning. And I think that's the key, is that if you're not putting yourself in a posture where you are learning, then you stop growing. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't take the time, and I'm really serious about that. Like, people take the time to do what they want to do, but sometimes what you want to do isn't really feeding you to get you where you want to go. So if you have aspirations to do something, you have to take time to actually intently put aside time to do that. So while everybody else is hanging out, you might be going to a conference. You know, people are like, oh, I'm going so-and-so for the weekend, you know, turn up and all that stuff. It's going to be lit, come on. And you're like, no, I actually am going to be going over here to go to this conference because I want to learn something for the next level. And so it's going to require you to make some sacrifices. And you might look like a fool to some people. They be like, yeah, you dumb. I can't believe, bruh. Like, I can't believe you're doing all that. But at the end of the day, it's like you're trying to get somewhere. So because you're trying to get somewhere, you have to put yourself in an environment so that you can learn. So I would really encourage people to really put yourself in a posture where you can learn. Google, you know what I mean? Google information. Of course, you want to vet information out, because everything that you find on Google is not, what you find in your search when the search pops up is not necessarily accurate or tried and true. So you want to be careful about, what you necessarily take in. But definitely put yourself where you are growing and make sure that you're learning and ask questions. Find people that are doing what you want to do. And don't be afraid to reach out and send an email or call. And ask questions, because that's the only way you're able to find out information. Like, you have to put yourself in an environment where you're not afraid to ask questions, where you're not afraid to be in places that you may feel like the dumb one, you know what I mean? Because oftentimes we are afraid to put ourselves in these different environments because we don't want to look dumb, or we're scared, or I'm going to look stupid. And it's like, well, you're going to fumble along the way. It's not going to be a perfect journey. But if there's somebody else who has wisdom to help you get through the journey a little bit easier, I think I would rather ask the question than be prideful and act as if I already know the answer. So definitely put yourself in an environment where you're going to learn and grow. And again, don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to talk to people. Like, that's, I used to be like that too. Like, nah, I don't want to ask them a question. I don't want to bother people, And sometimes we kind of elevate people into this position that they're not human. And I'm like, they're just like you. It's just that they probably asked some questions, and that's why they are where they are. Mm-hmm. They took the time to learn and grow. Some of the greatest people who are out here, whether politicians, whether they are artists, they took time to work on their craft. So you may see them go silent for a season, but because they're working on their craft. They're getting voice lessons because they want to be a better singer. They are taking the time to study information, the up-to-date information for whatever their craft is, because they want to be able to be, on the cutting edge of what's happening in their field. So whether that's going to conferences, whether that's going to workshops, whether that's going to networking events, put yourself in an environment where you are growing and learning and being exposed, because that's going to make the difference. That's going to help you. When we talked about purpose, it's going to help you really identify, like, okay, this might be where I really need to go. I'm leaning in this direction. And so, don't be afraid. You just, at some point, you have to do something. Mm-hmm. So you have to just be willing to just, like I said, you might feel like a fool. You might feel insignificant. You may feel like, I don't know, I just don't fit in. I'm just not comfortable. But again, it goes back to the place of, if you want to grow, you're going to have to be stretched in various capacities. So
right. And so I think a lot of us waste our free time for real. Mm-hmm. Like I said, when you're coming home from work, like, how can we utilize our free time more? Like, this time that we might take a nap, or mm-hmm. watch that 30-minute show of our favorite series, or, go out to your cousin's mm-hmm. house right. for dinner that lasts for 5 hours. Like, right. How can we utilize our free time?
Right. A lot of times people will say they have a time management issue. And it's really not. And I think, and I want to say Bishop Jake said this. He said it's not a time management issue. It's a task management issue. Yeah, so if you look at the hours in your day, most people, if you are working a 9 to 5, okay, you're getting off about 5 o'clock. Well, you shouldn't be leaving till 5. Some of y'all be sliding out like 4:55, but you paid to 5 o'clock. So stay to 5. And so you leave work, and then it's like you just go home. Like I said, it goes back to you doing the same old thing. You go home, and it's like, oh, I'm going to fix something. I'm going to rest for about 30 minutes. I'm going to fix something to eat. I'm going to watch TV. And then you go to sleep, and you get up and you do the same thing every day, 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, you sleep in on Saturday, and maybe you go to church on Sunday. Like, it's the same kind of deal every day. And so what you have to do is you have to take inventory of your life and say, yo, okay, if this is what I'm trying to do, if I'm trying to accomplish this goal, then I need to make a shift. And so that might mean, and it doesn't mean you don't have days where you chill, but you don't want to be chilling 7 days a week, especially if you say you have a goal and you're trying to accomplish something. So for me, like, for example, you know, when I come home or whatever, like, I mean, I work crazy hours and stuff anyway because I'm just always doing a bunch of stuff. But, you know, when I come home, I'm usually doing something. Like, I try to, even like when I'm driving in my car and stuff or driving in the car, I'm listening to messages. I'm listening to, and, you know, these days you really have no excuse. You can listen to books while you're driving. You can listen to books, you know, on your phone. You can read and things of that nature. But make sure you're doing something every day. And it doesn't have to be a significant amount of time. But it might just be I'm taking 30 minutes every day, or I'm taking an hour on Wednesday specifically to do this. So maybe there's a podcast that comes like on Sturdi Studios. Maybe, you know, there's a recurring podcast, you know, comes on Sundays at 6 p.m. That's a little plug. You know, make sure you check her out. You know, but seriously, if you know, okay, it's going to be something inspirational, bam, Sunday from 6 to 7, I'm blocking that time out so that I can listen to the message uninterrupted. Because that's what happens. We try to do stuff when we got a bunch of other stuff going on, and so you're not really retaining the information. So you have to make sure that you take the time to, you know, do something productive with your time. So I was talking about, like, for example, you know, you're in the doctor's office and stuff. What most people are doing, they're watching TV. They're watching Wendy Williams, Hot Topics, or, you know, you're watching Ellen or Steve Harvey or something. And for the, you know, your appointment's at 11, they may see you about 11:30. So what you gonna do for 30 minutes? You just gonna watch Hot Topics and look at Wendy spill the tea. Okay, but what else are you gonna do with your time? You could be spending 15 minutes of that time reading. You know, that's where they have magazines on the tables and things of that nature. So you could be doing something. So, you know, one of the things I do, I carry a book with me all the time. I have books on my phone, and I have a book that I carry with me all the time, because you never know when you're in a situation where you're just sitting there and you're like, okay, so am I really going to spend 2 hours doing nothing with my time? You've wasted 2 hours. So being mindful of your time, like, again, you don't get time back. So if you're wasting your time, then you know what I mean? You're really losing time. You're losing momentum towards your goal. So I really just encourage people, like, look at your day, take inventory of your day, and really think about where you can insert a couple of days, maybe 30-minute intervals where you can really do something towards your goal. So whether that's reading books, whether that's listening to podcasts, whether that's watching videos, or, you know, taking trainings. I mean, they have a bunch of online courses now. I mean, there's really no excuse for you to not be able to continue to move forward in your goal. So really just take inventory and see where you can make a few adjustments, so that way you can, you know, level up.
Yo, we're spinning some great juice right now. We're about to wrap it up, but I want to talk and ask you, like, you're doing, like, some awesome speaking, and I follow your Instagram and Facebook, and I see what you put out to the world. It's, like, encouraging, motivating at all times, and I want to know, like, do you speak at events?
Yes, I haven't done as many events as I used to, but I used to speak at DC CAP. So they would have a program that they would do to support high school students in their transition to college, and so I would go in and speak to the young women there to encourage them as they go forward in their college endeavors, and really just try to give them some tips to really help them be effective when they go off to school, because that's a heavy transition, you know, just for you as a person, and then also for your family. So just really trying to encourage them to, stay the right path, because it's easy to get so many distractions, once you leave that shelter of high school and stuff and you go off into the real world, there's so many distractions, there's so many people trying to pull you all these different ways. So you have to be settled in your mind. You have to be decided that, okay, these are the things that I'm going to be doing. And so so I've done speaking engagements with DC CAP. I've done speaking engagements for workshops and organizations. So, as people call me in, I absolutely, check it out and see if it's something feasible in terms of what I can do. But I definitely enjoy the opportunity to share knowledge and to really be a support to people, to let them know, like, I'm just as regular as the next person. I'm not, it's not a glitter coming off of me, and I'm not sparkling and, and all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm legit just a real person who, God has just given a heart to really give in that way, to be a vessel, to be a support to people and encourage people, to build people. So ultimately,
All right, and since you just mentioned that you give tips to those leaving out of high school, going into college, can you give us 2 tips that it will benefit us, high school graduates?
The first thing is that you have to expose yourself. If you're going to accomplish anything in life, if you're going to aspire to great things and great endeavors in life, you have to expose yourself. So put yourself in environments that are not comfortable, because as you put yourself in more and more of those environments, what's going to happen is that your capacity to think will be different. How you move will be different, because as I stated earlier, like, as you go to different levels, the protocol is different. How you deal with people is different. How you talk has to be a little bit different. Your knowledge level is going to, the knowledge that you have is going to have to level up. So you have to be in a position where you allow yourself to be exposed and just be uncomfortable, just so that you can at least have the experience and value the experience. The second tip that I would say is you need to read. You really, really have to read. And I'm not talking about Instagram, just reading Instagram quotes and reading Facebook statuses. I mean, you need to read a book, because books are created to give you knowledge about things. So whatever it is that you want to do, if you want to be a producer, if you want to be a writer, if you want to be a motivational speaker, whatever it is, you should be reading books that address that. Because as part of for example, if you want to be a motivational speaker, you got to find books on communication. Right. You want to be an effective communicator, and you have to understand that when you're speaking to people, that you have to tailor your message according to your audience. And sometimes, even in the midst of you giving a speech, you might have to tailor it again, because you have to look at the temperature, or if you will, of what's happening in the room. And so you have to be, so sometimes it might just be knowledge, but then you might have to put some stories in there so that people can relate. So just be mindful, that, you got to put yourself in a position where you're reading and you're learning. You got to read books, folks. You got to read books.
Yeah, you just got to think about, I think this will help a little bit, like, it's all different types of people in the world. And like, just like you're listening to this podcast right now, this is just what I'm good at. I do want to write a book eventually, but right now it's just like I didn't think about starting that way. Somebody might be my age, same town, same craft, same specialty, but they thought about a book immediately and they didn't think about a podcast, right? So it doesn't mean you're not going to get more or less value in a book or a podcast or actual convention or anything like that. It's just like where that person was best at. So make sure you take advantage of that. Naj is like a walking energizer, encourager, all of this. Like, you definitely want to have her in your life, on your feed. Where can we find you? And tell us what you like. Do you specialize in any type of encouragement? Because it's not like you're encouraging us to buy your product or anything like that. So, like, tell us what type of encouragement you give.
Okay. Well, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram, Simply Naj. So just look me up. It should be _simply_Naj. I can't remember, but I'll make sure that Ed puts the information out there so you can have it. But you just check down below and you'll see my Instagram. And I'm purposeful when I post stuff. So I'm not seeking to get 200 likes. I honestly don't even have my page even open because I need to protect my space. And so if I want positivity in my life, then I can't scroll down my timeline and see a bunch of foolishness. So you can check me out on Instagram. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions or if I can be of any support to you. And people reach out to me. I mean, even like on Facebook, I'll have people just going through different stuff, and I may comment on a post, and then people may DM me like, yo, you really like helped me to see this from a different perspective. So for me, it's really just about helping people understand that, there's a greater perspective in all that we do, that we don't have to be so focused on the problems and the issues, that actually, those things are helping us to become better people. So ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about us living our life with intention. It's about being purposeful. It's about, loving yourself, loving your family, that we put a lot of emphasis on things that don't matter. Mm-hmm. And I just really want to encourage people to just focus on the things that matter. Stop worrying about who talking about you, what they said, what somebody got on, whose weave is this color. We worry about stuff that doesn't matter. We focus on negativity, and then we wonder why we are negative or why people are repelled, from us. So we just want to make sure that our energy, that we're living our light, that we are, in fact, understanding that, God has a purpose for us, that He loves us unconditionally, and that no matter what we do in life, He's going to love us unconditionally. People don't do that for you. Like, they'll love you one day and hate you the next. So you want to make sure that your foundation is right. That your foundation is right. And once you know that, once you know there's nothing you can do that will ever keep you from the love of God, like that right there, that's my fuel. Like, I know I'm not perfect. I screw up all the time, every day. I'm probably going to screw up before the end of this day. But at the end of the day, I know that my mistake doesn't define me, that I made an error, I did something wrong. Okay, let me learn from that so I don't repeat the same mistake the next time. So I just want to encourage people, like, don't focus on the bad stuff. We all make mistakes. We're not going to be perfect, but just know that even in the mistakes, that there's still something great that could come out of it. So you just have to have the right perspective in all that you do.
And one more thing, you made me think of a question.
Sure.
When you're talking about the mistakes that we make.
Mm-hmm.
What about those that feel like, and we're switching over to a spiritual aspect, and of course it's love, happiness, finances, and spirituality that wrap up this one big whatever clump that really makes you consider it free or whatever. Mm-hmm. So like, what about those who feel like they sin so much that there's just no hope for them, that God is not about to really bless them or anything like that, because they've done X, Y, and Z, and they've done like X, Y, and Z. Like, oh my goodness, like, what about those people?
Yeah, I think what often happens is that people live their life with a lot of shame and guilt because of things that they've done. But nobody, and I mean nobody, is perfect. We have all done some dumb stuff. So the key is not to condemn yourself. The key is to say, I made a mistake. It wasn't ideally what I should have done, but I learned that I can't operate that way. So if maybe you have an issue where you cuss people out all the time, and later on you have all this remorse. You're like, dang, I wish I would have did that. I wish I would have handled it differently. Then the way to right the wrong is to go back and apologize to that person and be like, you know what, I wasn't even in the right space when I came at you like that. I shouldn't have handled it that way. Because forgiveness is very powerful, because what it does is it helps bring closure to other people. It helps people feel, that that they don't have to be stuck in a certain place, because that's what gets us messed up, is the shame and guilt of what we've done. But you don't want to stay in the shame and guilt, because that's what condemns you and make you feel like, I can't get over it. Oh, well, I'm just going to always be this person. I'll never do right. And that's the place you don't want to be in. And that's how, we talk about the devil and the enemy. Like, that's how he gets you. He like, yeah, you ain't going to never do nothing. See, I got you again. Or whatever the case may be. So you don't want to be stuck in that place of shame and guilt. condemnation. And God is not a God of condemnation. God is a God of love. He's a God of redemption. He's a God of restoration. Like, he already knew you was going to screw up. And he still loved you anyway. He still sent his son to down the cross for your sins. So at the end of the day, just understand that nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing you will ever do now, before, or even in your future will ever separate you from God's love. So know that the love that he gives is very much so unconditional. It's an agape love. So even if you've done wrong and you continue to do wrong, the key is to make a conscious decision to say, you know, I can't live two sides. You know what I mean? And we all struggle with that. Even the people that come across as the most perfect Christians, like, they're not. Like, they have a past too. And a lot of times they're not transparent about their past because they're afraid of what people will say. And so I really just encourage any person that's listening that just feels like you're just not a good person. You feel like you make a lot of dumb mistakes. You feel like you're never going to get it right. Know that you can get it right, but you're gonna need God to get it right. You can't just do it on your own. So I just really encourage you all, just know that God loves you and love yourself. Don't hold yourself to this place where you feel like you're never gonna do right. We all make mistakes, and anybody who walks around acting like they're perfect, they're a liar. So just remember that any person who's walking around acting like they're perfect, they're a liar, because there's no perfect person in this world. So don't condemn yourself. Don't have shame and guilt. It's okay. You made a mistake. Learn from it. Grow from it. And be better. And I promise you, the more intentional you are at righting the wrong and doing the things that you need to do to make life better and living life with intention and purpose. Like, a lot of that stuff that you're dealing with, like, that stuff will pass. So just, you're valuable and you have a purpose. So just remember that. Forget the condemnation. Forget the guilt. Forget the shame. Like, you're worth something. You have a purpose, and your story is going to help somebody else.
Hey, it's lit. Yo, this is Najah Ishman, and she just spit some fire knowledge on you guys, yo. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yo, never lets me down. Shout out to all the stars out there, Star Ministry.
Star Ministry.